Imagine a world where an empire that stood for 6 centuries simply vanishes overnight. In 1918, the Ottoman Empire wasn't just defeated. It was effectively erased from the map, its territories carved up by foreign powers like a final feast. The streets of Istanbul were silent under occupation, the economy was in ruins, and the people were left with nothing but the ashes of a lost age. Most world leaders assumed the Turkish nation was finished. They saw a people broken, a history closed, and a map redrawn by the pens of victors. But they didn't account for one man. One officer, battle-hardened at the bloody shores of Gallipoli, who looked at the wreckage of an empire and saw not an end, but a blank canvas. This is the story of Mustafa Kemal, the man who defied the impossible to forge a nation from the void. While the world watched the funeral of an old order, he was already planning a resurrection. It all began in May 1919. While others fled or surrendered to the inevitable, Kemal boarded a weathered ship bound for Samsun. It was a journey that felt like a suicide mission across a choppy Black Sea. With nothing but his reputation and a burning vision, he stepped onto the shores of Anatolia to start a grassroots movement that would ignite a fire across the heartland. He wasn't just building an army. He was constructing a new identity from scratch. Think about the incredible stakes involved here. He had no weapons, no money, and a hostile government back in the capital of Istanbul was actively calling for his head. He was an outlaw in his own land, yet he moved from village to village, speaking to the farmers and the soldiers, convincing them that they were not subjects of a sultan, but citizens of a future that did not yet exist. The tension reached its breaking point at the Battle of Sakarya. The Greek forces were advancing, and the survival of the Turkish people hung by a single thread. Kemal looked at his exhausted, outnumbered men, their uniforms in rags and their ammunition low. In that moment of absolute crisis, he uttered words that would echo for a century. There is no line of defense, only an area of defense. That area is the entire homeland. He redefined warfare in that moment, telling every soldier that their ground was sacred. They held the line against the odds. They fought with a desperation that shocked the world. And against every prediction made in the halls of London and Paris, they won. The invaders were pushed back, and the dream of a sovereign nation was finally secured by blood and iron. The cannons eventually fell silent, and the Treaty of Lausanne was signed, recognizing a new reality on the map. But here is the real twist. Once the war was over, most leaders would have rested on their laurels and enjoyed the power. Kemal did the opposite. He looked at a country still stuck in the medieval past and decided to drag it into the modern future by force of will. He didn't just change the government, he changed the soul of the nation. In a whirlwind of radical transformation, he replaced the ancient, difficult Ottoman script with a modern Latin alphabet, practically overnight. He sent the entire country back to school, personally standing at blackboards to teach the new letters. He granted women the right to vote and hold office while much of the Western world was still debating the idea. He abolished the caliphate, closed the old religious schools, and demanded a secular, scientific approach to life. It was a cultural revolution that turned a crumbling sultanate into a modern republic in just 15 years. He was fighting a second war, one against ignorance and stagnation. When he passed in 1938, he left behind a title that no one else in history could ever claim: Atatürk, the father of the Turks. But looking back at this seismic shift, you have to wonder, was the true miracle the battlefield victory that saved the country's borders, or the sheer willpower required to reshape its entire culture from the ground up? To take a people from the ruins of the past and point them toward the stars is no small feat. What do you think? Was his social revolution more impressive than his military defense? Drop your take in the comments below. We want to hear your perspective on this titan of history. And if you are hungry for the stories that actually shaped our modern world, make sure to hit that subscribe button. History is full of these turning points, and you won't want to miss the next one. Until next time, keep looking for the stories beneath the map.